Your first grey hair is a rite of passage. It is a reminder that you're getting older, wiser, and that you are blessed to be a vibrant human being. Like laugh lines, grey hair similarly are a totem of a life well lived. Just for instance, look at Obama's hair. Obama, the past president of the United States of America, when he started his campaign before presidency, his hair was brownish black. And if you see his hair now, he has a head full of gray hair.
I was campaigning for president. I had no gray hair at the time.
It would seem that the stress of running a country would make your hair turn gray. But is only stress to blame? Then why does hair turn gray for many of us who are not the presidents of the United States of America? So, stress is not the only factor which causes graying of hair.
My grandfather, on my mother's side, was gray by the time he was 30. So probably this job accelerated it maybe 6 months.
As you know, your hair follicles possess a pigment that colors your hair. The shade of this color reflects your racial type. Melanin cells, however, are short-lived, and after the heydays of youth, they tend to die off. But this dying off is only gradual. It is not a sudden affair. As your hair shed and regrow, they are continuously being stained by this chemical, this coloring dye that is innate to your body, innate to your racial type. The only thing is that every time your hair is colored, like the printouts you get from your inkjet printer, every subsequent printout that you get from your inkjet printer is stained lighter than the first one. So this is exactly what happens when your hair gets dyed by your natural pigment. Every time that a cycle completes itself, the hair that comes out pigmented is a lighter pigment of your natural color, which could be black, brown, which could be auburn, which could be platinum, which could be blonde. So every subsequent cycle is lighter stained till your hair becomes gray, various shades of gray, and then it becomes silver, and finally pristine white in color. You might want to blame your boss or your spouse for your graying hair or your significant other, but the fact is that this is a reflection of your genetic composition. If both your parents or either parent had copious gray hair on his head or her head at a younger age, chances are high that you will similarly gray sooner than you otherwise would have. So it's all your genetic makeup. It's what you inherit from your parents. Graying of hair is also dictated by your racial type. It is well known that Caucasians or whites, they start to gray in the mid-30s. Asians, that is East Asians and South Asians, they gray in their late 30s, and Africans in their mid-40s. So your genetic composition, your racial type has a lot to do with it. But if your hair grays 10 to 15 years before your average racial type would have grayed, like at 20 years in a Caucasian or at 25 years in an Asian, this phenomenon is called premature graying. And when this happens, it can cause low self-esteem and can at times cause social maladjustments. Stress is known to cause telogen effluvium. A lot of hair fall off, whole locks fall off, and when the hair regenerate, because telogen effluvium speeds up the turnover of hair, so the dye factory, the natural dye factory, runs out of pigment. And as the hair cycle gets speeded up, the hair that regenerates over a period of time becomes less and less stained with pigment. So telogen effluvium, which is a consequence of stress, causes early graying. Even normally, as part of the hair cycle, hair remain in the anagen phase for about 2 to 4 years, commonly, and then they shed. Every time that the cycle repeats itself, the hair comes out less stained with the pigment that is specific to your racial type. Because with each pass, the melanin gets depleted since the pigment forming cells wear off with time, and hair that are subsequently stained by this natural pigment come out lighter, various shades of gray, then silver, and finally white. So as I've said earlier, the hair pigment factory of the human body is like the ink of an inkjet printer. Every time you take a print, every subsequent printout is lighter in tone than the first printer. However, you can replenish your dye in the printer, but we have not yet evolved a treatment by which we can replenish nature's dye, the melanocytes and melanin pigment in the hair bulbs. A lot of research is going on, and I am sure one day we will discover a treatment for graying. A reduction in the melanogenically active melanocytes in the hair bulb of anagen hair follicles with resultant pigment loss is the basic pathogenesis of graying of hair. This graying of hair is usually progressive. There are rare instances in which spontaneous repigmentation of these hairs, which were earlier grey, has been reported. As we all know, grey hair is finer than pigmented hair. Also, it looks little more coarse, is more dry than pigmented hair. Why? Because as you age, the oil secreting glands of the scalp also begin to degenerate. Because as we age, the volume of oil secreted by the scalp continues to diminish. Therefore, the hair becomes dry as we become older. The hair also becomes rough. Why? Because we have a habit to keep constantly pulling on these hairs. So every time you pull on a hair, every time you pull it out with a tweezer, the hair that subsequently grows will be thinner, will be coarser. And this is because of follicular degeneration, pulling out of hair, like in trichotillomania, or you can relate it with the hair of traction alopecia. So the hair becomes rough, coarse, dry, and crinkly. Plucking hair does not help because every time you pull out a hair, a new hair will take its place. There is an old wives' tale that for every one hair that you pluck, 3 new grey hair will grow out. Well, there is no scientific basis to that, but it is a reminder of the fact that plucking hair is not going to lead you anywhere. Only the hair that grow out will be less dense, will be less thick, and will give a coarser, crinkly, dry, and rough look. So there are many causes of graying of hair, the principal cause being genetic. Graying of hair is an autosomal dominant feature. It is linked to an autosomal dominant gene. The other causes are vitamin deficiencies, which are though rare, vitamin B6, vitamin B12, biotin, that is vitamin B7, vitamin E and vitamin D have been implicated in early graying of hair. Oxidative stress happens when antioxidants are insufficient to counter the ill effects of free radicals. Free radicals are unstable molecules which circulate in the body, and these unstable free radicals lead to degeneration of cells and lead to early aging, and as far as hair is concerned, it leads to early graying. And then there are certain illnesses which cause early graying, chief of which are various autoimmune diseases which can cause early graying. And then we come to real life stressors. It is a matter of great scientific controversy whether stress like injuries, like severe illness, causes early graying. But the scientific community has not arrived at a final verdict on whether real life stressors are responsible for graying or not. But it is a common myth that real life stress causes early graying. And then we come to smoking. Smoking is associated with 2.5 times increase in the incidence of premature graying. Smoking affects every cell, and hair is not immune to the effects of smoke because smoking affects the cell at the mitochondrial level. And there are certain dyes, especially dyes which contain ammonia, and various hair care products which have certain chemicals that counteract the action of melanin. Some of us will remember a cream called Brill cream, which was used in the 80s and the 70s to set your hair. And it was commonly believed that when you start applying Brill cream, you get a lot of premature graying. And a lot of people believed it, and this Brill cream went out of vogue, especially in India. So what is the treatment of graying? Well, there is no sure shot treatment of graying. Reports are only coincidental that various products, various chemicals prevent graying. Well, we only have anecdotal reports of certain products, of certain food items that delay graying, and chief of which are green tea, polyphenols, selenium, copper, phytoestrogens, melatonin, and the Ayurvedic herb called Bhringraj, which I have discussed in a previous video on natural products which cause hair regrowth. There are certain hormonal anti-aging formulas, chief of which is a recombinant growth hormone formula, which is being researched, which has an anti-aging effect and which treats premature graying. L-methionine, used to retard methionine oxidation and restore methionine sulfoxide repair mechanism, is reported to have a potential for preventing graying. And then the RT1640 formula by Rivertown Therapeutics. It contains 3 components, that is minoxidil, cyclosporin A, and RT175. And this is undergoing phase 3 trials and is likely to come out very soon into the market. And it has great potential as shown in its phase 3 clinical trials of delaying premature graying, because of its benefit of boosting melanocyte progenitor cells which causes increased production of melanin by the melanocytes. This is the first treatment that will be available for treating graying of hair. And then we have a compound SKQ, which comprises a plastiquinone with antioxidant properties, a penetrating cation, and a pentane linker that has been synthesized. This primarily acts on the mitochondrial level and acts as a rechargeable antioxidant. And this compound holds great promise for anti-aging and preventing graying of hair. However, a great future lies ahead of us in treating anti-aging and graying of hair through targeting genes and proteins specifically involved in hair follicular melanocyte biology. Well, thank you. That was a short talk on graying of hair, what are the causes of graying of hair, and whether there is any treatment for graying of hair. This was a very commonly asked question by patients, and therefore I thought I would do a talk on this on the request of one of my patients. Thank you for watching, and I'll be with you very soon.